Good afternoon, everybody. I am joined by Darlene Cassandra, who is our CEO for Crimestoppers New Orleans, Special Agent in charge of the FBI New Orleans Field Office, Eric J. Ramos, Melissa Matte of the State Police, Special Agent in charge of our ATF New Orleans Field Office, Dana Nichols. U.S. Attorney is not here with us today, but certainly has been working with us from the very beginning on this. I'm also joined by Field Operations Bureau Chief Paul Noel, our Second District Commander, Commander Jennifer Dupree, now Commander of the Specialized Criminal Investigations Division, Doug Eckert. I'm also joined by the Director of Homeland Security and Public Safety, Colonel Terry Ebert, and then the CAO for the City of New Orleans, Mr. Gilbert Montaigne. I want to start off by thanking Mayor Cantrell for her strong support and her continued support. We've been in contact with her since the very beginning, and she's voiced her support for what we've been doing, and certainly condolences for those who were injured and for those who lost their lives the other night. We are here today to announce a significant increase to the reward in the arrest of the shooting on South Claiborne over the weekend that killed 3 people and injured 7 others. We announced Sunday that Crimestoppers was offering a $5,000 reward. Today, they are doubling that reward to $10,000. On top of that, our partners at the FBI New Orleans are also offering $10,000 reward for a total of up to $20,000, but then on top of that, our Office of the ATF here in New Orleans is offering a $5,000 reward, which puts the reward total up to $25,000. So this demonstrates the seriousness which the NOPD and our partner agencies are taking this case. That will not stop until we find out who did this. Right now, we are still asking for the public's help. We know that someone knows something. You heard me say this, there were a lot of people out there on Saturday night, and we want to hear from you. This type of behavior cannot and it will not be tolerated, so start making those calls, please, to tell us what you know, what you've heard, what you've seen, or what someone else heard us saying. Here's what we know right now. We're still looking for 2 suspects who were covering their faces with either dark hoodies or possibly ski masks and then wearing latex gloves. We now believe one of the shooters had 2 handguns and the second shooter was reported to have a rifle. Evidence we've gathered so far does suggest this incident is gang related, but then again, this incident and investigation is ongoing. We're still gathering evidence. We cannot stress enough how important it is to have continued and strong community support to solving a case like this. We talked about it on the scene that night, and I'll mention it again today. It's been community support that helps us solve cases, and it is only with community support that we're successful in holding people accountable and making them pay for their actions. So at this time, I want to turn it over to Darlene Cassandra, who will talk about our reward just a little bit. After that, she'll be followed by Eric Ramos from the FBI, and then Dana Nichols from the ATF.
Thank you, Chief. And I do want to thank those tipsters who have called into Crimestoppers. The information is important. Being an open investigation, we are not going to elaborate on any of the information, but thank you. You continue to make those calls. I also want to thank the partners here, the FBI, the ATF, and of course NOPD for working this case together as a team. This is significant. And it's significant because of the level of violence that these individuals chose to instill in our community on Saturday evening. So with Crimestoppers, it's up to $10,000. You know you remain anonymous. With the additional reward money, that makes it up to $25,000. That's significant. It's cash from Crimestoppers. So again, no fear, no retaliation. Just make the call, and let's make this stop.
Good morning. As you've heard from the Chief and from Crimestoppers, we're all taking this very, very seriously. We have a 0 tolerance for this kind of act. For those that were involved, do the right thing. Turn yourself in. For those of you that have seen something, now is your opportunity to come forward and to do the right thing as well. We need your help, and we're willing to pay a reward in order to solicit some of that information. We have a 0 tolerance for this, and we're here to put an end to the violent crime. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dana Nichols, Special Agent in charge for ATF. First and foremost, my condolences to the families who lost loved ones during this heinous violent crime. ATF, along with the New Orleans Police Department, the FBI, and our other state and local partners, are committed to finding the individuals who were responsible for this violent shooting over the weekend, and prosecuting those individuals and arresting those individuals and bringing them to justice for this senseless crime. As the mayor and as the superintendent have said, and the FBI and other law enforcement, this is not New Orleans. This incident does not represent the New Orleans community. These individuals have no value for human life, none at all. Today, you have the full commitment of ATF, the New Orleans Police Department, the FBI, and all of our law enforcement partners to finding and identifying these individuals. But as the superintendent said, and as my partner Eric said, we can't do it alone. These types of crimes are not just solved by law enforcement. It involves the community. It's important that the community come forward because, as I said before, this is not New Orleans. These individuals are not a part of our New Orleans family. These are individuals that will take any human life without regard. So we need your help. We're committed to you. We stand with you. We're a part of the community, and the community is a part of New Orleans. Don't let this represent New Orleans. Please help us to identify those individuals before they hurt someone else. Thank you.
We'll open it up for a few questions.
Before we do that, lastly, I'd like to just admonish the citizens to please don't listen to the rhetoric about why you shouldn't come forward. These individuals, these thug criminals who opened fire into a crowd of people, did not care about the well-being or the lives of the people they shot the other night. And we should not be concerned about them. We should be concerned about bringing justice to the people who lost their lives and the people who were injured that night. So please don't buy into that foolishness of why you shouldn't come forward, why you shouldn't help. They didn't care about us, so now we have to make sure that we do everything we can to see that justice is served. And I said this the other night, and I'll say it again. If violence is the life you choose, this team will make sure that prison will be the price you pay.
You said it could be gang related. Is it the 3NG gang? And that gang has a lot of ties to a lot of high profile acts of violence in the city. If it is that gang, how dangerous is the 3NG gang right now?
Well, there's always danger associated with any time we use the word gang. There is some information to support that this is gang related. There is some information to support that that gang is part of it. What we need citizens to do is come forward and give us the information that ties the links, that links it all together, ties the links together, connects the dots, helps us gather the right evidence to bring those individuals who are responsible for this, whether they were there or whether they supported it from a distance, to bring them to justice.
Chief, do you have any more information as to what led to this shooting?
We do not at this time. It's still ongoing. Our detectives have literally been working around the clock. We've been working with all of our partners. Had a call from Special Agent in charge of DEA right before this press conference, who their people are working on this as well. You know, all of us are here working on it together. Right now, there are no new updates to give you.
When was the decision made to raise the reward? Is that something that came about this morning?
That was actually something that was in the works last night. And so we were working with FBI and with Crimestoppers yesterday on that, and we wanted to make the announcement today. So that's been the ongoing topic from the very beginning, and those conversations started at the very beginning. But I think as very early yesterday, we began to have more conversations about presenting that to the community today.
Chief, can you maybe just walk us through the events that happened immediately prior to the shooting, and during the shooting, is it your sense that this was an execution-style shooting? Were they standing over this guy? Or just kind of bring us up to date on what you know about what led to the shooting.
Well, what we can say right now is that we know that there were two individuals we believe to have either hoods or masks on. We believe they were wearing gloves. We believe they approached South Claiborne in Louisiana and fired into a crowd of people that were standing in front of the stores at that strip mall, where a large number of people were standing. We do believe that 10 people were hit. 2 people fell at that location. 1 individual ran down Louisiana and collapsed and expired. EMS came and rendered aid and pronounced the other 2 on the scene. The other 7 people that were struck, 3 went by ambulance to University Hospital, 3 by private conveyance to University, 1 by private conveyance to Action of Baptist. We do believe that those individuals stopped and stood over 1 individual and repeated firing, and then fled toward Martin Luther King on South Claiborne. That's why it is so important for the community to come forward to tell us what they know, because there were so many people out there who were standing right there. We believe someone saw something, heard something, and knows something, and we're appealing to you to come forward. You can do it anonymously. The reward now can get up to $25,000, and we just want to appeal to everybody's conscience to help us solve this and hold these people accountable for their heinous crimes.
As a follow-up, can you say if the person that was on the ground that they were firing at, is that the gang member or the suspected gang member that might have been the target of all this?
Well, there is some information to support that at this time, and so this is ongoing. There's always more evidence that we need to connect the dots and to verify all of that. There is some information to support that. Now, that is our belief right now, that they actually stood over one for a few seconds and fired multiple rounds. The evidence supports that.
Was that Jeremiah Lee?
Yes, sir.
The fact that they wore hoods, masks, latex gloves, was this a calculated hit? And if it was, the former U.S. attorney put something on Twitter yesterday about, given the scope of this, it could be a federal case for federal agents. This would be better for the FBI, but could the FBI get more involved in this by sending agents out to look for these guys if they deem that this is a federal case on top of a state case?
Well, I'll start by saying that we can speculate that this was very calculated, but what we can say is that they have elevated their tactics, and we're going to make sure that we find them, hold them accountable. I'll let the special agent talk about what can be done by means of the FBI.
Well, first I want to just reiterate that we're working together as a team on this. When this person or people are brought to justice, it's more important they be put in prison for a long time. It matters not to us at this point yet, whether it's a state case or whether it goes to a federal. The important part is that we have to find this person or these people and put them in custody. As any case, we can work on the evidence, we can work on the statute, and we can continue to decide what are the best way forward to prosecute the case. But for now, the most important part is just to find the individuals responsible.
Mr. Rummel, can you elaborate on what resources the FBI can bring to bear on this investigation in terms of what you all have done with your anti-gang task force, and what is the agency prepared to do to try and help effect these arrests?
So at the time that the incident occurred, our violent crime squad and our gang drug squad were working in unison with the NOPD to provide to them any assistance that they may deem appropriate and necessary. We have been cognizant that Chief Harrison's police department is well in charge of this investigation and doing a great job in the investigation, and we're here as a supportive role at this point.
Is there any videotape from any of the establishments that could help the public identify these people?
We're constantly working on gathering evidence, finding video, getting that video, looking at it, analyzing it, and getting it out to the public as fast as possible. As soon as there is something that we believe could help us identify them, we will produce that to you to help solicit more information from the community.
Chief, is there anybody up there who can kind of give us a sense of the gang violence in that particular area? If Mr. Lee was a member of 3NG or suspected to be 3NG, who are the shooters affiliated with, if you know?
Well, I think right now the important thing is for us to talk about this case, this shooting and murder incident, so that we can get information from the citizens about who committed this act. Now, we have certainly our crime analysts are working on this with the crime analysts from all the federal partners. We're working to develop a lot of information to put that information in the hands of detectives so that we can solve this case quickly, but it requires community support. I think it's more appropriate to just talk about what happened that night and ask the citizens to help us solve that point right there.
We're just trying to put it into some context. Has there been ongoing beefing, feuding, retaliation between groups of loosely affiliated drug sellers, if you will, or what is the lay of the land right there?
I think the fact that someone decided to shoot into a crowd of 10 people, that injured 7 and killed 3, speaks to what the reality is regarding gang violence, the lack of care for human life and people's well-being. I think it really speaks to the heart and mind, soul of the individuals who pulled the triggers and who came up and injured these people. Why? I think at the moment, we want to know why, but I think it's more important that we identify these people who did this and then bring them to justice.
Chief, have you ruled out any connection between that shooting and the shooting on City Park Avenue that happened?
There is, at this time, there is no information to support that they are related in any way.
What about the people found burned in Algiers? Any information on that case?
At this time, also, there's no information that we have to support that that's related to this incident from South Claiborne or the incident from City Park.
Any update on the condition of the victims, and is it accurate that Mr. Lee was trying to get safety in a crowd?
We're still looking into the last part of your question. At the time of the shooting, before we did the press conference the other night, one victim was in surgery in critical condition, but we believe would survive. The other 6 were in various conditions, but considered somewhat stable.
What about that corner and that bar? Obviously, we all know the history. It goes back to Telly Hankton days. Are any of the businesses or bars considered nuisance bars, or anything that you guys have your eye on, or would feel the need to go to the city and enforce stricter rules against them?
You know, that's a conversation that we can have. There have been a number of incidents historically from that area, from that intersection, but I think that's a conversation internally we need to have as a city, and then take the whatever course of action we deem necessary.
What about loitering laws there, Chief? Some of the neighbors tell us that in the past, there used to be a security guard there because people do gather at that corner. Lately, they haven't seen that. Is that something you're looking into, or is that something the NOPD could enforce if crowds of a certain number have been gathering there on a regular basis?
I think, once again, that's tied to the previous question. That's something we can look at internally to figure out what course of action we want to take regarding that enforcement from the city towards that strip mall or any one of those stores within that strip mall. Right now, I think the most important thing about why we're here today is to, number one, remind the citizens that the reward has been increased to an amount up to $25,000, and we really need your help. This will be solved by community support. This can't just be on law enforcement alone. And so we're appealing to you to come forward. You can do it anonymously, and we're hoping and praying that we hear from you. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
So there's no update since yesterday on the condition?
No, ma'am.
And the third victim, Chief, do we have a name of the third victim?
No.
Orleans Parish Coroner's Office.